welcome to my podcast. Welcome to Wild On.
Thank you. And thanks for having me. It's a real honor.
Oh, of course. I'm so excited to have you. I
Yay.
honestly, I've said this to probably all the knockouts that I've talked to, but I'm so excited what you guys have done with women's wrestling. Like it has truly reinvigorated my love for wrestling. So
Yay.
well done.
Thank you. It's so funny that you say that to me because like when I first started, I was wrestling for about a year when I first met Madison Rae, who was Lexi Lane
Yep.
on the indies. And we freaking and you are, but like, we just looked at you like, oh my God, she's so good. And I remember being at a indie show, I think for OCW. Yeah. And I remember how Ashley was so excited to wrestle you. And I was so excited to watch the match. I can't remember who I wrestled that show, but that's just one of the things that pop in my mind. And you've always been so nice.
Oh, thank you. And I feel like we haven't had our moments yet in the ring, but like, I feel good about this. I feel like we could have our opportunity this year, but I
hope so.
I feel like we're sisters though. Like we don't, as it goes, like women in wrestling, wrestlers in general, you're this weird misfit family. You don't know each other, but you get along. Like,
yeah. And I feel like when you have like matches with like when you meet someone for the first time and then you end up having an awesome match with them, like that's like a huge bonding moment.
Yes.
And I think that because that's how I've ended up becoming good friends with quite a few girls in wrestling because sorry, my cat is always getting into stuff. But anyway, like I just feel like it's super, super important that we all have each other's back anyway, because it's such a cutthroat business as it is.
Yes.
And while I love professional wrestling, but my passion is women's wrestling.
So. Agreed. Wholeheartedly agreed. Like wrestling is great, but like I'm all about the girl power shit.
Yes,
like
too.
Let's bring it to the next level.
Yes.
So just to kind of deviate from wrestling a little bit, you've had a very like Lizzo vibe going on social media in terms of, speaking about positive body image and, not fitting in the same box, but also that you're on like a new health journey for yourself. Yeah. Tell me about it.
So, ever since I started wrestling, I've always kind of struggled with my body, like before I started wrestling, I didn't have an issue with myself. I had so much confidence. Like I started training to wrestle when I was 17. So I was still in high school. And my mom said, if I let you train to be a wrestler, as long as you keep your grades up, because I was a straight A student, she's like, I'll let you do it. And I was able to juggle it. But before I started wrestling, I never looked at myself as like, like fat or plus size or whatever.
Right.
But when I started to get into the business, and I'm sure that all of us have, I'm sure we all have stories to share, but it was a real shock for me to have because I was the only girl that trained at the school that I was in at the time. And I was shocked when these guys were like, oh, you need to lose weight, like poking at my legs, like you need to get rid of this and this. And I was devastated.
Oh my God.
I was like, yeah. So like for the first several years of my career, probably the first 4 or 5 years of my career, I really, really struggled. And I was doing like fad diets because I really thought that, wow, I do look terrible. I need to do something. And I was really struggling, but it took me about 5 years to just kind of embrace who I am. Yeah. And I do believe in the whole body positivity thing. But I think it's really important to drive home to a lot of my fans, because I've had male and female fans reach out to me over the years, like, you've inspired me to lose weight and this and that. Like there's one guy that I became friends with. His name is Steve. And I remember the first time I got an email from a guy like that, just expressing like, hey, you've inspired me to lose all this weight. He lost over 100 pounds because he, and I thought that was crazy. Like, I was like, wow, like I literally like have made this much of an impact on someone's life that they, so, and I struggle still back and forth, but I'm down a good bit of weight and I still have a little bit to go. But I think it's important to drive home that like, to be obese isn't actually healthy, but everybody's body is different. I'm
Yes.
almost 6 foot tall. So I do have a lot of muscle. So instead of me focusing on what the scale says,
Yeah.
I just go by how I feel.
Right.
I think that putting your health first and doing it for yourself is what's most important, because
Yeah.
if you do it for like, if I did it, oh, I need to be in shape for wrestling or for a guy or whatever, it doesn't last. Like,
No.
you truly need to just be like, okay, this is where I'm at. I accept who I am, but I deserve better for myself and I need to put my health first. And so that's what I'm doing.
Yeah. Well, I'm really, really proud of you for
Thank
one, doing
you.
it for your health, but moreover, that you're being so vocal about it, because that's the amazing part about having a platform is,
Yeah,
okay, we know there's trolls out there. There's always going to be people that are like,
everywhere.
you're fat, you're ugly. I remember when I was in developmental and someone told me I looked like a 14-year-old boy in a wig. And I was like, that's hilarious. But like, you hurt my one feeling.
Yeah, but that's also like, just, I don't get what people gain out of tearing someone else down. And what I've kind of attributed it to is they are not happy with themselves, so they
Yes.
feel like they could go online and they're projecting their insecurities on someone who, they don't look at us as people who have feelings. They're like, oh, they're on TV, this and that,
Right.
we're supposed to portray ourselves as a larger than life, you know I for lack of a better word, like, I guess an entity, like,
Yeah. Superhero.
yeah, like, and and I think that's really cool, but I feel like these people don't and a lot of them are like, I know that they won't even see this message, but, and it's like, but you know what? We actually see a lot more than we let
Yeah.
on.
Yeah.
And I have gotten a lot better about having thicker skin over the years. So not a whole lot bothers me. Like, okay,
Yeah.
so you called me fat. Okay, I've heard that a million times. But like, obviously you are very sad, so you need to figure out what you should do with your life to be
Yeah.
happier and not focus on tearing other people down. I don't know.
Yeah. I always think the best response, like you said with the troll, is just like, obviously need a hug.
Yeah.
You just,
Yeah.
I'll say I love you. Like,
Yeah,
you're
like,
obviously
hey.
not good. Like, you're not in a good place.
And I used to get really offended and I would argue with people, but I've learned that it's like, you know what, it's not worth it, because
No.
and there was this one particular guy who, he would literally, anytime Impact posted something about me on their page, he would be like, oh, she's getting fatter by the day, this and that. And I would never, like, it's just like, whatever. But he messaged me probably a few months ago and apologized. He's like, I apologize if anything I ever said hurt you, because I recently just lost a friend due to cyberbullying. And I'm like, I'm so sorry to hear that. And I wasn't like, well, but I was like,
Yeah.
that is terrible. And I forgive you. I don't know what it was that you might have been saying, but like, I don't know what everything, but I hope that you can find peace within yourself. And I'm sorry that it took something that devastating, but words do a lot. They affect people a lot more than people think. And it sucks
Absolutely.
when people have to go through some crazy situation like that to realize, well, maybe I should be nicer to the stranger that I don't know. Like,
Yeah.
I don't
And
know.
and that's the dichotomy that I see is like the knockouts have always been the ones that change the trajectory of what we see as women wrestlers.
Yes.
We're no longer in the Divas era. Thank God. Um, it has its place. Don't get me
Yes.
wrong. But I think it's so much more realistic, so much more exciting that we see women of different shapes and sizes and backgrounds. And what I hear with social media is like, let's use that as a place to build each other up. Like,
Yeah.
you're a
And,
motivator.
yeah. And like, I feel like it is important for us to, those of us who do have like a decent following, it is important for us to be a positive voice,
Yeah.
and like, I speak for the people who might not feel comfortable in their own skin, but I, I can also show that, hey, you may not look like everyone else,
Yep.
but you're not supposed to, and
Yep.
just be comfortable with who you are. And like, what I always tell people too is like, you should just like, young girls that just start in wrestling, and I'm sorry if I'm all over the place, but
No, not at all.
they're just like, they're just like, well, thank you so much for showing that, bigger girls can do it too. You don't have to look like a Barbie and this and that. And I'm like, listen, you wrestling, when you're a wrestler, and if you're going to start wrestling, you're who you are as a person. Like I always say, you should be an exaggerated extension of who you are as a person, because it comes across more genuine.
Absolutely.
And I've always been like a gothy punk girl, like even through high school. But then when I first started wrestling, I was made to feel like you need to have your boobs out, you need to tan, you need to be blonde. And I just didn't feel like myself. And I was just like squirming in my own skin. And I was like, I can't do this anymore.
Yeah.
And I feel like I definitely, along with a few other women, I feel like I've been wrestling 17 years, and I do feel like I do have a hand in paving the way for some of
Yes.
these other girls that didn't feel like they could look the part, to begin with.
I agree.
Um,
You are a whole entity, a whole beast in yourself. And I mean that in the
Thank
most
you.
positive way.
Yeah, and I take that as a huge compliment. And going back on what you said about, just women being supportive, I think
Yeah.
that's what I love so much about being part of the Knockouts locker room
Yeah.
is everybody, no one's trying to tear each other down. Everybody is lifting each other up. Everybody is, trying to help each other out. Everyone's positive and supportive, and that is so, so important.
And that's why that place has always had my has always had my heart, because
Yeah.
I've been on both sides, and one is a business and it's all about money and it's very competitive. So that
Yeah.
breeds different personalities, for lack of a better term. But
Right.
I've always felt the knockouts are in it for a higher reason. You know what I mean? Like,
Oh, for sure.
we love wrestling, number one. I don't think any knockout in history, maybe one or two, has come from like the model background,
Right.
which isn't a slight. It's just different. It's a different
Exactly.
personality. So
And
sorry.
no, it's okay. You go ahead and finish your
Oh,
thought.
I just
Yeah.
meant like I always think we've been trying to push push the barriers down and become our own thing. And it was never really about the money, and it
Right.
was being a family. So sorry.
No, that's okay. And to kind of piggyback off of that, like I truly, okay, so when I got into wrestling, I wasn't thinking I'm going to be rich and famous. I don't
Right.
think any of us who truly have the passion for it, we didn't get into this for the fame and fortune. And for those of us who, I mean, that it took me years to be able to live comfortably off of my wrestling money alone.
Yeah.
Like, it's not an easy road. And anybody who thinks that they're just going to be wrestling in Madison Square Garden the next
Yeah.
week, as soon like, it's like, no, like
Yeah.
it's so, so tough.
Totally.
Yeah. So
Well, speaking of being in it for 17 years, like essentially we came up around the same time, probably just like missed a few years here, there.
yeah.
But I imagine that you were told, probably as a female wrestler, you don't shit where you eat, you don't date other wrestlers, me, 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 me. And like the thought process that is there is good, but it should have never been shoved down women's throats specifically. It was just like, okay, we're all young, we're all not bad looking, like it's gonna breed a culture that you're gonna be interested in one another, but that doesn't, in a job that consumes you fully. I mean, like you keep weird hours, there's a whole other cultural experience. How are you not gonna find a partner in a business like that?
That's the thing too that people don't realize. It's like, okay, it's easy to say don't date another wrestler,
Yeah.
but it's like, okay, well, at least, okay, so I've been with Sammy Callahan for a little while. And yeah, and honestly, I feel very, very lucky because we do have such a strong relationship. But I think part of why is because we understand what we have to do for our job. There was times when he was on the road before, Impact invited me back to join their awesome roster. There was a lot of weekends where I was sitting at home and he was on the road, or like I would just go do some indie shows. And it's just like, I feel like for a normal person, and I've seen this and my friends, past relationships that are other wrestlers who have had people who they date outside of wrestling,
Yeah.
they don't get it, they don't
Yeah.
understand. And it's very rare that you can find and have someone who's outside of wrestling be so understanding of the schedule.
Yeah.
And like, wait a second, you're rooming with this person, like this and that, whatever. Like, I know that there's, and of course a normal person would have issues, like,
Yeah.
because, promoters would book a bunch of people and be like, and then it's not unheard of for a promoter to be like, well, I know she's friends with this guy, so it'll be fine. And not even ask, and they'll just throw you in a room with somebody. I mean, it happened often to me. And if it did, I would be like, can I switch? Just because I didn't want to make, like my partner uncomfortable or
Of
whatever.
course. And
But
yourself, really.
yeah. Cause like, I just am kind of like, well, can I just room with like the girls? Like, I don't care, whatever.
Yeah.
I understand they're trying to save $1 by, booking, fewer rooms and throwing everybody in there. But it's just, basically it's like, it's hard to not date within your work line of work.
Yeah.
And especially with the wrestling's a whole different beast.
Yeah.
And only we can understand that stuff. And it's hard to explain to someone outside of it. Like, look, this is normal, whatever. I don't know. But I just think it's a lot easier said than done.
Yeah.
And I think that, and especially like you said, for us girls, like it was just crammed down our throats. Like, no, you can't do this, this, and this.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, all these guys are, having a freaking heyday. It's like, come on, man.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
It is. It was totally like sexist biased crap, but whatever.
Yeah.
We're changing the game, man.
We are changing the game. And I could honestly say that it's gotten so much better in that aspect.
Yeah, it has.
I feel like you're not going to completely do away with that. Like, there's still going to be people who think a certain way, but at the end of the day, it's like, look at the strides that we've made.
I know.
It's
huge. It's getting better. And I think the stronger we are as women and like embracing all our differences and being vocal about it and not just like, yes, sir, no, sir. Okay. Anything for a job. That's what changes shit. Like, no, dude, fuck you.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
I mean, like, I'm a really delicate flower and I fit in anywhere. And Jessicka almost spit her coffee at me through the screen. Okay, so we talked about all this really like subtle, relaxing shit. How did you find pro wrestling?
So ever since I can remember, my mom has been a wrestling fan. I remember when I was little, I always remembered Glow being on the TV. And man, like, it was always funny how they labeled how women should be in the ring, or how they're like, oh, women can't, because I'll tell you this, when I was younger and I was watching people like Ivory and Jazz and Luna, I'm like, they are so much more vicious and physical. Like, they're literally like going in. I'm like, have you ever met a true pissed off woman? Like, come on. Like, how is this not believable? It's so, but they're like, okay, we need to fit you in this one little box, whatever. But so my mom is a big reason why wrestling was something that was in my childhood, and her favorite wrestler was the Ultimate Warrior.
Oh, amazing.
So I always remembered, that was just always on.
Yeah.
And so when I was in high school, I found out that there was a wrestling school that was literally 15 minutes from where I was going to school. And I begged my mom, and she's like, oh my God, are you kidding me? But she, like I said earlier, she made that deal. If you could keep your grades up. And she would drive me to all my practices. She would she would go in and watch sometimes, but she got really uncomfortable with it because she said I would get so angry at how those guys would treat you. And I guess I didn't realize, because that back then I was like, well, they're just making sure that I'm tough and, don't want to quit.
Right.
But if it, like, thinking back on it, I'm like, no, they were literally like beating the crap out of me. And like, I would train 4 days a week, and I would have my mouth busted open like once a week. Like,
really?
Yeah. And then I remember overhearing my trainer say to somebody, yeah, like, we tried to get her to quit. I told all the guys to beat her ass, but she stuck with it, and she's actually pretty decent. So, but I remember overhearing that and being like, you son of a bitch. Like, it didn't even have to be like that. But honestly, I feel like if I didn't get trained the way that I did, I wouldn't have been able to handle certain situations that were presented to me. Like, I wrestled Luna Vachon, and she was one of my heroes, but she was so reckless with me, and like it was my worst experience in a wrestling match because like it like, and I don't know what she was going through that day. And like she's, I don't know if she had a bad day or what, but I remember after the match she sat down with me and apologized and was like, I'm going to talk to him about bringing me back so that you could beat me. And I was like, okay, but I'm thinking like, I don't ever want to wrestle. It was just, yeah, like, and I was devastated.
Oh, I bet.
But
then don't meet your heroes, right?
Yeah. But then like a year later, I got to wrestle Ivory, and she was like, I remember on the paper, they were like, Ivory up. And she goes up to my trainer and goes, I'm going to tell you something. I'm on my way out of here. She's going to beat me tonight, this and that, whatever. And we had a little fun schmoz after the match. So, but that stuff was, it's like, wow, like that was so cool. Like she was just so humble and so just nice. And I learned so much from her.
She got it. Got it.
Yeah. And it was kind of refreshing. So I wouldn't trade my experiences with Luna or Ivory for anything.
Yeah.
But it was just like, it just shows you like the polar opposites there.
Absolutely.
Like, and it was just, it's interesting.
It is interesting because for me, like I've been out of the business for a decade and now I'm like, I must come back.
It would be great. Come on back. Let's go.
Okay, let's make this work. But my thing was, I was like totally burnt out after like 6 years of like from 19 till I was 25. I was like, I'm done. Because I never wanted to be that Luna Vachon. I was like, my time has come. Like, I need to walk away. And now I feel like I could potentially come back in this place of like privilege because I'm like, I had a rest. It took 10 years, but it's those little things with girls you work with, whether they're new or they've been in the business a while, like those effects are lasting and they can really affect your career.
Yeah, that I agree.
So anyway, I feel like we could talk about the same shit forever.
I know. I love this.
Me too. Yay. We should do this more, but with alcohol.
We should. Oh yes, let's do it.
But I like to end every episode I have with my 10 tailor-made questions. It's kind of like a speed round, but don't feel rushed or anything like that. I want to hear your full answers. So,
okay.
Are you ready?
Yes,
okay.
I think so.
Name one beauty product you cannot live without.
I would say, I wish I had it at my desk. Darn it. It's like it's by Clinique. Ooh. And it's a, like a moisturizing, cream.
Okay.
I've always had decent skin and I've been very lucky with that. Thank you. But like, I started using that product within the last year and I've really noticed even a bigger difference. Cool. Like your skin is so important. You should take care of it.
All of my paychecks basically go into skincare. You hit 30 and all of a sudden you're like, oh my God.
Oh, I know. I'm like, oh my God, where did these forehead lines come from?
I was like, I'm going to age gracefully. It's fine. I'm like not going to get Botox, but then these fine lines happened and I was like, uh-oh.
I seriously was that same mindset and I've not had it before ever, but I argue with Sammy because I'm like, I just want like just my forehead smoothed out. He's like, no, you don't need it. He's like, there's nothing there. I'm like, oh, I see it.
Yeah,
it is there.
We'll go find a day trip somewhere, me and you.
Oh, you know what?
We won't tell.
Nevaeh said the same thing. She's like, let's just go.
We'll
say you're grocery shopping and we'll just go real quick.
Let's do a med spa day.
Yes.
Okay. What is your favorite exercise?
I really love leg day. So I like anything that has to do with a squat. I've always had like bigger legs in a bigger butt, which I like. Even when I am at my most leanest, it's like that hourglass. So it's like,
yeah, girl,
no shame there. But I think like I just love squats. And lately I've been into DDP yoga. So
I hear great things.
It's so good. It's life-changing. I'm not even kidding you. I am not sponsored. I'm just saying.
But if you want to sponsor us, please feel free to reach out.
Yeah, come on, DDP.
What is your biggest pet peeve?
My biggest pet peeve is getting interrupted, I guess. Like, but it depends on the situation. I also hate when people chew with their mouth open.
Oh, it's not good.
It's not good.
It's not a nice noise. It's
No,
not.
it's so gross.
Are you a barn animal?
Yeah.
Yeah, I get it. Who is your celebrity crush?
Oh, goodness. That's a good question. I would have to say my celebrity crush for a while was Davey Havoc. He's the lead singer of AFI, and that's where I got Havoc from.
Oh,
and I got to meet him because of Sammy. He arranged this for me on my 31st birthday. We all went to see AFI. Me, when I say all of us, my mom, my brother Mike, my brother Stefan, and Sammy. We met my friend Shane there in Cleveland, Ohio. And we went and saw AFI live, and then I actually got to meet him.
Oh,
he only agreed to meet me and Sammy after the show, and it was like, I was like, this is the best freaking thing ever. Like,
what a good boyfriend.
Yeah, it was awesome. I was like, this is the best birthday ever. And Davey Havoc was so nice, and just he spent like 10 minutes talking to us, and it was awesome.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's a great story. Well, this might be the same answer. What is your favorite band or artist?
So AFI. And I listen to all kinds of music, but AFI is hands down my favorite. I've seen them probably 10 to 13 times live.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And but I listen to a lot of other stuff too, but like there's a band called The Killers that I like.
Yep.
I also really like The Cure. I think that they're really good. But yeah, it's like random, but AFI is my ultimate favorite. I was introduced to them my freshman year in high school, and I was like, oh my gosh,
this is the
best. Yes.
Do you have a secret vice, like drinking a glass of wine in the shower?
I think wine in general is my vice. I will say, and I say this like I'm half joking because I'm sure some people will be like, that's not very funny, but I truly believe that this pandemic has made me a slight wino, where it's like I depend on this, but which I mean I could do without it, but I do enjoy some wine. Like we moved in this new house, and I have like a deep, large like tub.
Yeah.
So having wine. Oh, I've taken the first week we moved in here. I drank a whole bottle of wine in that tub.
I know.
And I have no shame.
The pandemic's been bad for like drinking. Like I went through a phase where I was like, okay, I got to sort my life out.
Yeah.
But then I was like, but weed's illegal. So
yeah.
Smoke more weed.
I'm a huge supporter of THC. Love it.
Yes, girl. And CBD. THC with CBD.
Yes.
I don't fuck around with not CBD because
CBD
boring.
is so, I will tell you that CBD was a game changer for me when it came to like, even like just like depression and anxiety, but also for pain.
Yes. Oh gosh.
There's so many strains out there, and you just got to find the one that works for you. But I love it.
Yes, we are very pro booze and pro marijuana. So also we will take those kind of sponsors.
Yes, we sure will.
What wrestler has the best entrance music?
I think currently, besides myself.
Good answer. Good.
I would say that Rosemary has the best entrance music. It is so dope.
It is good. It is.
I love it.
What is your drink of choice? I think we've kind of probably answered that.
Yeah, I mean, I like a good glass of Pinot Noir.
Pinot Noir. So fancy.
So good. Yeah. It's like healthy for you, a little healthier.
It's made with grapes. It's basically a health drink.
Yeah. Come on.
What was your most embarrassing moment in the ring?
Goodness. I would say that's such a good question. and I can't believe it's taking me so. Okay, I got one for you.
Thank God.
So a Shine show I did years ago, I was it's a second suicide dive I ever attempted. The first one was great. I was like, I'm just gonna do it. But the second one, I was like, well, the first one went great, so I'll do this. I just remember it was Serena Deeb, Saraya Knight, and I think Allison Kay were all outside on that side of the ring to catch me.
Yep.
And I hit the ropes and I go for it, and my boobs caught on the middle rope and I felt like they tore my freaking boobs off. Cause you guys, those ropes don't feel good, by the way. They're like cables. But and then obviously it stopped it. And then they grabbed me and pulled me out. But I was like, that makes me so mad.
Friggin' boobs, man.
I know. Stupid boobs.
I'm glad. You know what I was totally thinking you were going for the suicide dive. The ropes caught your boobs and took your top, and then you continued to suicide dive topless. And I was like,
oh my gosh, I probably would have just been like, well,
that's it.
That's it.
I saw poor Awesome Kong do that on live pay-per-view.
Oh,
it wasn't a suicide dive. It was over the top.
I think it was. Didn't she go over the top and then? Oh, yeah, gosh.
They clapped.
Oh.
But she's the type of person that, much like you, she was just like, well,
yeah, whatever. She's awesome.
She's what a human, man. I miss her so much. I've been trying to chase her ass to talk, but like, she's one of those people. She's like elusive, off the grid.
I know. And I almost feel like jealous that she's so off the grid.
I don't know how she does it. Because she was like on the new Glow and shit. Like, she's working, but
and she's amazing in Glow.
Yeah, she is.
She was so good.
I was so happy for her. I'm so sad that they didn't finish the new season, but
I know.
Let's try to track her ass down, shall we?
Yeah.
Okay, last one. Finish this lyric. I don't care if Monday's blue, Tuesday gray, and Wednesday too. Thursday,
I don't care about you. It's Friday. I'm in love.
Yay!
Yay!
Good job.
Thank you.